Anyway, I promised a Chuck Tingle, and a Chuck Tingle is what you're going to get. So, for those of you who've never seen any of the live streams and podcasts that have been on, our running thing is the fantastic homoerotic work of Chuck Tingle. Dr. Chuck Tingle. I don't know what he's a fucking doctor of. I mean, if he's a doctor, then I'm a professor. Anyway, he writes, to be honest, the prose, his writing ability is not bad, actually. It's just the subject matter is very eccentric. I think that's putting it lightly. There's just sentient planes having sex with dinosaurs and all this stuff. Absolutely crazy. You have people having sex with sentient pieces of corn. Anyway. And something I do, I think the last Chuck Tingle I read was on EFAP. In fact, the last 2 times I've been on EFAP, I just show up and read gay porn and then run away. Anyway, I have one of his pieces of work here. Chuck Tingle has branched out from doing just gay stuff. He's done lesbian stories. And he's also done bisexual stories, asexual, and he's gone into trans, so he's diversifying. He's also done a pen and paper role-playing game set in what he calls the Tingleverse, which is a universe filled with arses, sentient arses that want to get fucked. Yeah, this stream is going to be very weird. I seem to pick crazy people to cover. Right. So, I have one of his stories here, but instead of reading, about guys ploughing each other, I thought, for the sake of equality, I'll read one of his lesbian stories. So I will be reading today, Moby Butt. This is a lesbian reimagining of the classic Moby Dick story, which some of you are probably really sick and tired of hearing about from when you've done your English literature classes, but this should hopefully keep you on your toes. So it's a twist on a classic. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin. Just wet my whistle. Call me horny. Standing out here on the deck of our vessel, I wish that I could feel the calm my shipmates often describe. Yes, the water is endless and smooth, something that others might find relaxing in a meditative way, but to me its nature only brings anxiety and torment. That big, beautiful butt is still out there, still swimming away from me, while I follow behind. I shall follow that butt to the ends of the earth. But if the sea is infinite, then will I chase for eternity? This question tumbles through my mind like a whirlpool, repeating over and over again as it sucks me closer to the icy black center. What lies below, I do not know, nor do I intend to find out, of course. I plan on reaching Moby Butt some day, of kissing her passionately while she returns the favor, finally connecting in a moment of passion that was promised so many years ago. This erotic game started as nothing more than a playful attempt to spice things up. My lover, the great Moby Butt, offered to tease me until I couldn't take it any longer, swimming ahead while I followed behind on my enormous sailing vessel. It sounded fun at the time, like a great way to turn things around in the bedroom, and I only expected our little journey to last a few hours. That was 7 years ago. Now the sea has warped and changed me, turned me into a ruthless shadow of my former self as I continue the quest. Every time I feel like turning around, I'll catch a glimpse of that enormous, sentient butt as she pops her head over the water, teasing me playfully before diving back down again. Of course, when this game began, the two of us went over our safe word, and I still remember it well. I could easily call out to Moby Butt and let her know that the fun is over, that this fetish of longing has run its course, and we should get back to the way things used to be. At that very moment, this whole thing would be finished, our journey coming to an end, while the crew breathes a sigh of relief. But I just can't bring myself to do it. Can't let these magic words travel any farther than the tip of my tongue. If I end the quest now, then what has this all been about? What have the endless nights of longing and yearning been for? No, I must allow the fantasy to reach its conclusion, whatever that may be, and however tragic the cost. I take a deep breath and let it out, allowing the sea air to flood my nostrils. It's dawn, and the sun has only just started to crest over the distance. It's dawn, and the sun has only just started to crest over the distant, shimmering horizon. The rest of the crew are all down below, sleeping the night away, while their captain continues to keep watch. Who knows? Maybe I'll be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of that damn butt. I stare at the water, looking for any ripple in the waves that could signal Moby Butt's return. Nothing comes. The ass is only here in my thoughts, still taunting me from somewhere far, far away. Suddenly, I hear a sharp whistle from across the sea, the sound echoing through my ears and causing my eyes to open wide with excitement. I spin around, realizing now that the source of this alert laid well behind me. Hark! Is that the round butt I have sought these 7 long years? I cry, running to the other side of the ship and gazing across the water. The enormous butt rises in the distance, waving to me playfully. Hey, Captain Amber, you wanna come kiss me? Yes, I do, I cry out. Well, you can if you catch me, the giant butt continues to tease, her playful giggling carrying out across the mirror-like ocean of the morning. I'll let you do anything you want if you just catch me, Captain. Moby Butt winks and then dives back down below the water, moving quickly away from the ship. The great round butt, I cry out, running over to a large bell and ringing it to wake the crew. I've seen the great round butt on the starboard side. Almost immediately, I can hear shouting and thundering footsteps from below. Moments later, the crew erupts onto the deck with me, some of them rushing to the edge of the ship, while others begin to turn the sail and plot a new course. Where is she? My first mate Izzy questions. She's gazing out across the water, with her hand over her eyes, trying to see if she can pick up on any irregularity in the waves. Right over there, I scream, pointing as I lean out across the rail, a fire in my eyes. Where, Captain Amber? Izzy questions again in earnest. She's out there, and she's getting away, I continue ranting. I am your captain, and I'm telling you where to sail. Izzy spins around and begins to shout orders at the rest of the crew, falling in line. Meanwhile, my eyes stay transfixed on the place where I'd seen Moby Butt just moments earlier, trying desperately to fight off the idea that maybe this whole thing had just been some wild flight of fantasy, a delusion brought on by my lack of sleep and the wee hours of the morning. I shake my head vigorously, as though this movement could wash my mind clean of any doubt. I know what I saw out there. The ship gradually begins to turn, and then takes off in its new direction. The crew now standing sharp and ready as I continue to stare out at the water. Eyes peeled, ladies, I cry. She could swim off on another course at any second. I leave out the fact that nobody else even saw Moby Butt the first time, let alone has eyes on a change in her direction. We cruise along like this for an hour or so, during which time I can sense the crew growing more and more weary. They don't let on for a second, but I can feel it in the air. Sense the frustrated gloom that hangs above this great ship like some black rain cloud chasing us while we embark on this never-ending pursuit. I can tell the crew is afraid to give up, terrified of what might happen. When someone dares suggest we slow down a bit or resume our previous course, they're right to be worried. But eventually, even I began to realize this particular jaunt will likely be fruitless. Izzy steps up behind me. Ma'am, would you like the crew to stay up on deck much longer? My first mate questions. There's a lot to do around the ship this morning, and I think a few of them would like to get started. I take a deep breath and let it out, then nod. Oh, someone on their bloody bike out there. Anyway, I take a deep breath and I let it out, then nod. Yes, fine. Izzy turns around and starts barking orders at the crew of women, sending them scattering as we slow down to our usual speed. When she's finished switching gears, she turns back towards me, walking over and standing next to the rail as we gaze out across the water together. We'll get Moby butt next time, I say. There's a long silence as the tension builds between us. If it were any other crew member, I would have already punished them severely for simply giving off a vague air of doubt. But Izzy and me have known each other for a very long time. She's not entirely safe from my wrath, but she can get away with much, much more than the others. The girls are talking, Izzy informs me. They think a visit back home to the port would be good for morale. We've been headed out for so long that I'm starting to get worried about ever getting back. We've got enough food, I state flatly. Not at this rate, Izzy counters. In fact, if we do turn around now, we'll still have to spend 3 nights without a proper supper. I scoff. Proper supper? This is a boat, not a luxury hotel. I know, but these conditions are more than just uncomfortable, Captain Amber. They're making it difficult to work. Response times are down, mistakes are being made. We just need a few nights on land again and get our heads straight. And what have I demand to know, finally turning to face my first mate. Will I have my head on straight, knowing that Moby Butt is still out there, swimming around with that beautiful round rump of hers, teasing me in a playful erotic way? I suppose not, Mum, Izzy replies. No, I shout. We will not turn around until the butt has been caught. Izzy hesitates for a moment, taking in a long breath and then letting it out slowly. I can tell she doesn't want to say the words that are sitting at the edge of his lips, but is forced into it for reasons I'm simply unwilling to hear out. What if you never catch the great round butt? Izzy questions. I'd had a suspicion this question was coming, and emotionally, I'd been able to prepare. Still, no amount of forethought could quell the powerful rage that suddenly floods through my bloodstream. Of course, I've questioned our journey this way before, but never said the words out loud. Besides, this is my mission to question, my erotic ride that I've graciously paid the crew to come along for. For a brief moment, I actually consider throwing Izzy overboard, not to hurt her, but to give her a good fright before circling back and picking her up again. Somehow I managed to hold myself back, seething as I tightly grip the rail before me. My thoughts are a storm of lightning and thunder that rages with so much violence even I'm not sure what will become of it. I suddenly hear a cracking sound as the banister I'm holding onto splinters, the wood splitting as a few pieces tumble down into the ocean below. I'm sorry, Izzy immediately blurts, trying to course correct. I didn't mean it, Captain Amber. I think it's best you return to your quarters for a while, is all that I can think to say, the words hissing out through clenched teeth. Izzy nods and hurries away, leaving me to stand and stare like every day before this. In this particular moment, however, I'm determined to put an end to this cycle of torment. Despite the reaction it elicited from me, there remains a good point in Izzy's comments. We can't just keep going on and on like this. But we also can't turn around. Therefore, The next time I encounter Moby Butt, I will not turn back, and I will not give up. I will catch my lover and give her the kiss that has gone some 7 years in the making. A playful game of cat and mouse that has evolved beyond even my wildest dreams. It's all or nothing. After 4 days of circling the area, there has still been no sign of Moby Butt. In the meantime, the crew has grown... sorry, Chuck Tingle does a lot of typos. He needs a fucking editor. Let me just wet my whistle before I get to the really good bit. Here we go. In the meantime, the crew has grown nothing but more and more restless. Still not daring to speak of their disappointment in words, but showing it through the eyes as they gaze constantly downward at the deck under their feet. They are frustrated and defeated. To make matters worse, a storm has rolled in, darkening the skies above and pelting us with torrential rain. The waves are large and looming, just barely safe enough to navigate onward, and even still, some seasoned sailors would likely recommend against it. It's in the early evening when I see it, that familiar double hump of Moby Butt's glorious buns as they peek out from the waves. My heart nearly stops when I spot her, a validation of my insistence that this is where the sentient butt would be swimming. "There she blows!" I scream, pointing out through the crashing waves. The rest of the crew glances over, likely expecting to see nothing at all, and then shocked to find I'm right. There, in plain view of the entire ship, is Moby Butt. Immediately we turn to the port side, now riding awkwardly against the waves as they crash down upon our wooden vessel. In any other situation, this maneuver would be desperately avoided, but right now the crew knows there are worse things to come from us not catching up with these glorious sentient buns. I quickly run to the front of the ship, where a cannon with a spring-loaded net has been mounted. The rules of our erotic game are simple. If I catch Moby Butt in the net, then she's officially been captured, and our little journey ends. We'll likely kiss for a bit, then immediately head back to the shore for 2 glasses of ice-cold chocolate milk on the beach. This is the closest the giant rump has gotten to our ship in quite some time, and as my finger rests on the trigger of this locked and loaded net cannon, it takes every bit of discipline I can muster to hold myself back. I only have 1 shot here, and it has to be just right. "Hey!" calls out Moby Butt from the churning grey water in a beautiful sing-song tone. "Still looking for me?" "Get back here, you damn butt!" I cry, the rain hammering against my face as our vessel pushes forward through the whipping wind and crashing ocean waves. "Gotta catch me first, cutie," the sentient rump giggles, swimming quickly away from the boat. This time we're ready for her, managing to keep pace with the beautiful butt, despite her most valiant attempts to pull away. Suddenly, Izzy runs up behind me, crying out against the loud cacophony of the storm. "Ma'am," she yells, "we can't head in this direction much longer. The waves are crashing down on the deck too hard. It's gonna break the mast clean in half." "Then so be it," I scream. "I'll have Moby Butt in my net, and we'll drift ashore together. Captain Amber will sink if we keep going like this," Izzy continues. "It's not just the mast. If the masts break, we'll be stuck in this position for the rest of the storm. We'll start taking on water, and we'll go under." I do my best to block out the ramblings of my first mate, who continues to scream into my ear while I line up the net cannon with this giant, swimming butt before me. I realize suddenly Moby Butt is in range, and in this moment, the entire world seems to shut down around me. Everything goes silent as reality comes to a standstill. I pull the cannon's trigger. There's a loud crack as my net erupts forward. But in this exact moment, an extra-large wave comes cascading down and slows against our ship, turning us to the side and sending my net off at a slightly canted angle. I watch with wide eyes as it sails through the air and lands in the raging water before me, just barely catching one of Moby Butt's large rumps, but only serving to slow her down a bit. Unfortunately, the wave has also cracked the mast, and although we're not completely dead in the water, we've also been reduced to a crawl. Oh, I scream, belligerent with anger. My big moment was a complete failure. But there's no turning back now. Without thinking, I run to the edge of the boat and leap off into the icy ocean below. "I'll get you, Moby Butt!" I scream. I land in the water with a great splash, suddenly overwhelmed by the churning sensation of these powerful waves. I'm swimming against them as hard as I can, but the force is just too strong, pulling me deep down into the sea and causing my body to twist and tumble the entire way. I no longer know which way is up or down, but through it all I can still catch slight glimpses of the gorgeous Rump as she swims away from me. "Still can't catch me," Moby Butt calls out teasingly, her voice faint and strange in the dark, swirling water. I refuse to give up, my arms aching and tired as I continue to struggle against the current. Despite my best efforts, I can feel myself sinking deeper and deeper into the depths, losing strength as life drains from my body. Still, I will not let Moby Butt get the best of me. "Bye-bye," the giant sentient butt calls. I no longer have any idea where she is. The salty water now completely black all around me. My lungs feel as though they're about to explode, desperate for a breath of air. Finally, at long last, I realize it might be a good idea to pump the brakes. This has gotten a little out of hand. With my last gasp, I call out into the water with our safe word, which is actually a complete sentence, desperately hoping Moby Butt will hear me. "Towards your butt I trot, you beautiful Rump, to the last caress with thee. From Hex heart I kiss at thee, for love's sake I call my last breath at thee." With this, everything fades away. The first thing I hear before I open my eyes is the wind. Not a powerful raging storm, but a soft and gentle breeze through the swaying trees. I can hear water against the shore, but it does not crash, just pulses with a soft hiss. I open my eyes to find I'm lying half submerged in the gentle waves of a desolate sun-soaked beach. There are palm trees lining the cove and not a single sign of life, other than the enormous humps of Moby Butt that rest some 20 yards out into the water. "What happened?" I blurt, sitting upright. "Where's the ship?" Moby Butt laughs. "That's sweet. I love that you're worried about your crew after all that." "Well," I question, desperate for answers. "They're fine, baby, they're fine," the sentient Rump informs me. "The mast was cracked, but I was able to tow them back to shore for some much-needed rest." I let out a long sigh of relief, suddenly gravely embarrassed that I had let it all get this far. "I'm sorry," I finally offer. Moby Butt laughs. "It's fine, but yeah, I got a little out of hand." I shake my head, astonished by my own actions. "But there's a good lesson in there," the giant butt offers. "What's that?" I question. "Don't be afraid to use your safe word," Moby Butt continues. "That's what it's there for. I understand it can be a little embarrassing to call off the fantasy, but it's very important to communicate with your partner. You followed me for 7 years." "You're right," I reply with a sigh. We sit in silence for a moment, basking in the tropical sun. "Where are we?" I finally question. "Just some island out in the middle of nowhere," replies the living butt with a coy smile. "I thought you could use a little vacation yourself." "Definitely," I offer with a nod. The living butt smiles. "You know, there's nobody else around for miles." I know exactly what she's getting at, and despite my intense physical exhaustion, I'm happy to play along. This time, however, there's no running away. I climb to my feet and begin to wade out into the crystal clear water, farther and farther until eventually I dive in completely. I'm swimming now, approaching the glorious humps of my lover. The second Moby Butt and I meet, our hands are all over each other. I begin to kiss her passionately as she strips away my clothing, pulling the fabric from my body and letting it sink to the sand below. Soon enough, I'm completely naked, aching to be touched by this beautiful woman that I've so desperately yearned for. "Let me get you off," the giant ass coos. The next thing I know, Moby Butt is reaching down with one hand and gently rubbing my clit in soft, slow circles. I let out a slight whimper as she works me, getting me off with an incredible amount of grace and patience. I float next to the sentient butt like this for a good while, my eyes closed. As I enjoy this moment of utter peace, I feel absolutely content in a way that I haven't felt in ages, completely at ease in the arms of my lover. Oh, fucking motorcyclist. This is the good bit. I pump my hips against Moby Butt as her movements gradually quicken, rubbing me with more and more enthusiasm. In the pit of my stomach, I can feel the first glorious hints of orgasm starting to blossom, the sensation bubbling up inside me and then pouring down my arms and legs. The next thing I know, my entire frame is overwhelmed with a strange erotic hum, my body vibrating in a way that's difficult to describe. I realize suddenly I haven't so much as orgasmed once during these 7 years. I'm desperate to explode, aching to finally get the release I've been waiting for. Oh, fuck, just like that, just like that. I start to groan, repeating the words over and over again as my eyes roll back into my head. It's not long before the tension within me is simply too much to contain. The next thing I know, I'm erupting in a powerful fit of orgasm, completely losing myself in the moment, and my body is flooded with sensation. I grip tight onto the enormous floating butt in the water before me, enjoying her warmth against my skin as we share this moment. I feel as though time is stretching out in infinite wash of sensations, my physical form blending with my true spiritual self, free from the desperation of the chase that has haunted me so oppressively. So, what if I used my safe word? That's nothing to be ashamed of in any way, shape, or form. That's trust in communication, and trust in communication is what love is all about. Moby Butt keeps rubbing me at a steady pace until all the sensations have finished sweeping through me. When I finally finish, I fall back into the water. But we're not done yet. "Now it's your turn," I coo playfully. I dive down into the salty sea, kicking my feet as I swim beneath the sentient rump's giant curve. It's not long before Moby Butt's beautiful pussy comes into view, and I immediately head towards it. When I reach her clit, I begin to rub it gently, pacing myself, but also remembering that my air supply is limited. Moby Butt begins to move along with the pace of my hand, clearly enjoying herself, but soon enough I'm forced to come back up for air, erupting through the surface and taking in an enormous gasp. "What are you doing?" Moby Butt cries out. "Don't stop." I center myself and dive back in once again, hurrying to my lover's aching pussy and immediately getting back to work. This time, however, I change over from my hand to my tongue, lapping away at her pussy with erotic confidence. Moby Butt begins to shake, only this time her vibrations are much harder than before. I can tell the pleasure within her is escalating, building up well past its previous limits and threatening to erupt. Fortunately, before my lungs start to hurt, I can feel the living butt clench tight and release a powerful orgasm. Moby Butt screams loudly, her voice echoing across the cove as the blissed-out sensations pulse across the entirety of her massive, sentient ass. When my beautiful lover finally finishes, I swim to the surface, breaking through and then swimming over to hold her in my arms. The chase was fun, but so is this, I gush. Moby Butt smiles. Maybe we'll try it again someday. But for now, there's no place that I'd rather be than here in your arms. End. Oh, let me just get a quick drink, and I'll get back with you people. There we go. How's everyone doing? I'm sorry we couldn't have a movie night. It's a bit of a pisser. But there we go. I promised to Chuck Tingle, and Chuck Tingle is what you got.